Okay.
Okay, sorry.
All right. Hi, Summer.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm good.
Okay, good. So the last time we were together, we talked about kind of you were new to grad school, everything was new, you had just moved here, and I see that you've made some art and brought it in today.
Yes.
Can you kind of talk a little bit about that and what's happened since, and maybe where you were going with this piece?
Well, I can talk about my process making of this piece.
Yeah.
I don't really know what the outcome was,
Okay.
but we had a short time frame. Well, I thought it was short to make art in class. Either about like response for Head Start or grad school or anything we're learning about. And I really was just like blocked. Like I didn't know what to make. So the first 10 minutes I was just walking around the room looking at the materials.
Yeah.
And then I saw like a little thing of salt on the watercolor cupboard.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I've never really like messed with salt with watercolor. I've barely messed with watercolor. So I thought about doing that, and then I couldn't find the salt. So that was a bummer because I was really like looking for that broken, like crystallized, like that I've seen people do salt watercolor with. So then I was like, well, what can I do that kind of gives that same effect of the broken like lines and stuff? So then I thought back to past summer and what she used to do.
Okay.
And I used to do a lot of printmaking.
Okay.
And I actually did a print with just lines before, so I thought I'd play with that. So I found some balsa wood and carving tools and carved like different lines, curvature lines, sharp edges, and then I painted it with brown and black paint and made this.
Okay.
And I like how some of it is like really dark, and then as the paint started to, decrease on the palette, it like got really fuzzy, and then you can see where I added more paint.
Yeah.
But actually, like why I did this, I don't know yet.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like you're getting a little more comfortable improvising art as you've been in grad school, and because you said you didn't have a lot of time, but yet you made this, and it looks, I mean, really involved and intricate and beautiful.
Thank you.
So do you feel like you're getting more comfortable?
Yeah, I still feel like I have like that anxiety before making art, but then I know it's going to go away like in the process. It's just starting that process.
Okay.
So, yeah. That's why I was walking around looking at every drawer probably more than once. Like, what's in here?
Yeah.
Oh, I know what's in here.
Yeah.
Don't want to use this. Might want to use that. But then, like, I didn't know the outcome, so I didn't know what I wanted to use, really.
Are you happy with this outcome, where it's at
Yes.
right now?
I actually really like it.
Okay.
I've thought about, like, enhancing it with marker, but I don't even know, like, where I would start.
We have markers here. Feel free if you'd like to.
Yeah. I'm looking at the colors. I don't even know why I picked brown and black on a cream ivory paper.
They're very natural colors.
Yeah. I didn't pick a bright white paper like I normally do. I always pick white paper.
Yeah. So you're exploring new things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you talked about art making as past summer. Would she have made something like this quickly?
Not this quickly.
Okay.
But this is like kind of the look of what a lot of my prints were.
Okay.
A lot of like geometric shape, a lot of brokenness. A lot of neutral colors, but never on, like I've done white paper and then coffee stained it after the fact, but I've always started with white paper. So it interests me that I even picked this paper.
It sounds like you're really surprised with yourself that you made that choice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like really surprised. I think I'm gonna like enhance some of these lines.
Okay. So what do these colors represent to you?
Obviously they're neutral colors, so like natural process of like instincts and what comes naturally, like an intuition almost. I don't know how that relates to me, but
No,
that's
I
what
can
it
see
comes
that.
to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you feel as though you're learning to trust your instincts more?
Yeah, especially because like recently over the summer I've been questioning like parenting skills, and then questioning like why am I even in this program? Like why am I going back to school when I have a 2-year-old?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like when Jayshree was talking yet again, she was talking about being pregnant and going to school again, and I was like, I totally understand.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, I feel like I'm questioning myself less.
Okay. That's
Like
great.
less and less every day.
Yeah.
Mainly because I don't have the time to ponder on it.
Okay.
Just have to make those quick
Right.
decisions and go with it.
Right.
If they're wrong, they're wrong.
Right.
So, yeah. I think I want to do kind of like a honeycomb effect.
Okay. Kind of comes back into that nature theme a little bit. The natural elements, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned you were questioning parenting and parenting styles. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, because I was brought up one very like traditional specific way of like we're like very religious, very like strict, and how the adult is overpowering the child and the child really doesn't have say in decisions.
Very authoritarian.
Yes,
Yeah.
very. And Kinsley's getting older and she's starting to form her own personality. Sassy one at that. And I'm having like all of these people tell me, well, you need to do this. You need to do this early. You need to make sure that she knows who's boss. You need to make sure that, she knows that this is supposed to be going on and this isn't. And I'm just like, I'll figure it out. I mean, I don't necessarily like how I was brought up, so hearing advice from my mom and my grandmothers and my aunt who's never had kids before, I'm like, I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's my kid. But yeah, with a 2-year-old, you don't have time to think about it. You just do.
Mm-hmm.
Like she wants to brush her teeth 20 times a day. And I'm like, okay, let me think about this. It's really nice that she wants to brush her teeth.
Yeah.
Like when I was a kid, I didn't want to brush my teeth.
Right.
She wants to brush her teeth, but she brushes them too much.
Okay.
And I've got to like figure out how I'm going to handle that because I don't want to like put her off of brushing her teeth.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, that's a lot of toothpaste. It's a lot of toothpaste,
Right.
and she could be brushing too much and brush the enamel right off her teeth.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm trying to go about it as like a learning experience, like tell her what the consequences are. Like, honey, you can't brush your teeth now, and then she'll start throwing a big fit, and then I'll try to tell her why. But like my mom, she said, just hide her toothbrush. I'm like, no, because then she won't think about brushing her teeth, and I want her to.
Yeah.
But see, that's what my mom would do. She
Right.
would just take full control of the situation.
Yeah, it sounds like you're being very democratic with your daughter.
Ooh, that's a word I struggle with.
Is that not the appropriate word? Would you not use that word?
That's a question I struggle with.
Okay.
So Tennessee is very Republican,
Mm-hmm.
not only in like political stances, but like in raising families and like just everything. All the thought processes
Right.
are Republican.
Yeah.
So you don't use that word. But I feel like I do identify more with the Democratic side of things than the Republican. And like I said, not just political, but like hierarchy and control and that kind of thing. So.
Okay. So maybe democratic is a strong word. We should use a different word.
For now, because
Okay.
I still don't know, like, yeah, I'm still figuring that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It just sounds like you're giving her a lot more choices than you had.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So how does that make you feel about your parenting skills?
Well, I'm hoping that it will make her more open to, like, talk to me about things.
Yeah.
Because I am going to give her a choice in some things, like the big things, like, should I get my vaccines? Yes,
Yeah.
you're going to get your vaccines.
Right. Yeah.
Should I go to school? Yes, you're going to school. But, like, when a child feels they do have some say in their life, that does make them feel good, and that does, like, make them feel comforted. So if the parent is the one giving them the choices, then they would feel comfortable more with the parent.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel. So when I grew up, I didn't tell my parents jack squat. Like, they didn't know. Like, I may have said I was out with Bryce, but I was not out with Bryce. Like, they didn't know where I was, what I was doing. And it wasn't necessarily, like, bad. It was just, I didn't want them to know about my life.
You didn't feel comfortable sharing it.
Because I felt like they were just judging me.
Okay. So it sounds like you're taking the lessons from the things you didn't like about your childhood and trying to reverse that in the way that you raise Kinsley.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Because she's my first kid, I'm going to make mistakes. I mean, every parent makes mistakes. There's no right or wrong.
Right.
Just like with therapy, there's no, like, one way to do it. There's no one way to raise a child.
Yeah.
But
That's an interesting parallel. 'Cause
yeah.
You're in grad school.
Exactly.
learning about therapy.
Exactly. I make that parallel a lot. Like, people that don't have kids, like, don't see the connection, but I see the connection.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot what I was saying.
That's okay. So can you tell me a little bit about the lines that you're choosing to fill in? Is there a method to it, or is there a reason you're choosing them?
Yeah, so I think, like, when I said honeycomb, I automatically thought of, like, like the honeycomb Cheerios commercials that I saw where it was like so irregular
Yeah.
and it was almost like Tetris looking,
Yeah.
like a pattern.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about like making it the whole a regular page and just have like an emphasis on some lines and then maybe centralize that and then kind of the outer lines kind of fade out.
Okay.
I think that would be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying not collaging for once. And
That usually is your preferred medium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I normally just collage. But I did print make a lot. I don't know why I stopped print making. I'm not sure. Half of my senior show was print making. And I do printmaking in encaustic,
Yeah. Okay.
but
So maybe you're getting more confident in exploring things that you haven't always done artistically.
I don't think it's like more confident. I think it's like I'm yearning to do new things.
Okay.
Like I feel like I'm stuck in a rut or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know like artists, they normally like centralize on one medium and then they expand their whole body of work through that
Right.
one medium.
Yeah.
But I'm not just an artist. I am learning to be an art therapist,
Mhm.
which means I'm going to be working with tons and tons of mediums with my clients.
Right.
So I really need to like get some experience behind it. So I'm like eager to learn because I'm eager to teach. Well, not teach, but teach was a bad word. I'm eager to watch people's experience with the medium.
Mhm. And facilitate that experience.
Yes, facilitate. That's a great word. That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. But it does feel nice to come back to something that you're very familiar with, and I just feel like these lines, like emphasizing these, is just so relaxing.
Yeah. It's a little meditative just watching you do it, honestly.
Oh, thanks. It's therapy for you too.
Never a bad thing.
But yeah, I'm just kind of skipping around,
Okay.
just playing with it.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to stick with brown and black. Thought about adding some red. Then if I add red, I'm going to have to add blue. And then if I add blue, I'm going to have to add yellow. And those colors, I just don't want them in
You
here.
like those primary colors?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, brown has some red tint to it. So we'll stick with brown.
Compromise there.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Stick with brown and black. I also feel like the aesthetic of it would be lessened if I added a brighter color or a non-natural color.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. So you talk about how you're learning to be an art therapist in addition to an artist.
Mm-hmm.
How has that experience been for you so far?
Well, my past is, well, obviously having kids is a lot different than everybody else's.
Right.
But what people don't know is like, I went for art education in undergrad.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people that my senior year, second semester, my last semester of undergrad,
Mm-hmm.
tell people that I switched because I knew I wanted to go more into art therapy, and I felt like education would pull me back, like, because when you get into like all the Common Core learning and like sticking to a straight lesson plan, like I feel like that would just be polar opposite of therapy.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted that to be the case, but it wasn't the case.
Okay.
I switched because I was pregnant with Kinsley and could not go to student teaching.
Okay.
So they told me that I would either have to take a semester off and come back or switch.
So you switched.
So I switched. But I don't tell a lot of people that.
That's okay.
But the more I think, like I've been thinking about that a lot, and the more I think about it, the more I'm like that was like fate. That was like meant to happen. Because I feel like if I went into the education field, I would have gotten a teaching job. And when I graduated, I didn't even get an art job. Like I'd switched to studio art, didn't even get an art job. I got a graphic design job.
Okay.
So I worked in graphic design for 2 years, and then came here. So I've got that education under my belt, and then studio under my belt, and then graphic design under my belt, and how like I'm balancing everything.
Yeah.
It all comes back to that balance.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not just learning to be an art therapist, and I'm not just a grad student. Like, I'm trying to see how my background could tie into my career. I don't know if that answers your question,
That's okay.
but honestly, I don't even think I can remember your question.
So I'm curious, are you satisfied with the fact that you changed paths?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Like, I was a little skeptical when I was going into art education anyway. Because I always had a hunch that I wanted to do art therapy. But in Tennessee, there was no pre-art therapy. There was no, like, you either did psychology with a minor of art, or you just did art. And I was like, I don't really like either of those options.
Right.
So I just went with art education because my family pushed me and said, well, at least you'll have job security when you graduate. And you can get an education job. I was like, oh, that's true. But that was their, Republican thinking there. Like, job security, you need that. I'm like, oh, but I won't be happy with it. So, and I've got a really good friend that stuck with art education. Made that friend in art ed classes, and she loves it, and it works out for her. But she even says, Summer, I knew you would not be happy with this.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, she said, all the Common Core stuff that you've got to deal with, like, I can deal with it because I know this is where my passion is, but I know you you would have quit. I'm like, you're probably right. So, yeah, it just goes back to fate, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like God put me here for a reason, so.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've made a lot of decisions in your earlier life, that past summer we talked about, based on your parents' expectations.
Yeah, but at the time, I didn't think I was making decisions.
Okay.
I thought I was just going with the flow, like, oh, I got pregnant. Do I want to go back No, don't want to come back next year. So I guess this is what I have to do.
I wonder if it was easier to believe that than making a choice and standing behind it when you grew up with authoritarian parents.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Because the most choice I had was you can eat your dinner or you can go to bed hungry.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. So I'm curious why you tell people one story, and you said that you've never really told people that before. I'm curious why you feel like you have to use the other story.
Because it feels like from where I came from, that was so taboo. Like, even though it was 2016. Like, I came from a very strict Christian family. You do not live with people before you get married.
Okay.
You don't have sex with people before you get married. And you don't have babies out of wedlock.
Okay.
So I got so used to telling my family that's why I switched.
All right.
So I just was like, you know what? That's what I'm going to tell everybody. And I feel like I may have started to believe it too,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
But deep down, I know the real reason. Which I'm totally fine with. I don't regret it at all.
Okay.
Like I said, it was fate.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it worked out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I love Kinsley to death,
Right.
too. She is my world.
Yeah.
And she's one of the main reasons why I'm here. So, my grandmother, just this morning, I was talking to her. She was like, I know you've got a lot of stress on you. I don't see how you do that. And I was just like, she's why I do this.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a great motivator.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious how you would feel about starting to tell people the true story instead of
People as in who?
just in general, like if anyone asks or, you know, when you kind of tell this story to people, like how that would feel for you to start to kind of just tell the true story instead of the story you've created.
It depends on who it is.
Mhm.
Like if I feel like it's someone who has authority, like I wouldn't feel comfortable telling a professor, I don't think.
Okay.
Even though
Is it a fear
I'm
of
talking about it
judgment?
now. Yeah, judgment, and like I would almost be afraid that they would think, oh, well, she's not really serious about this then. This is it just happened to her.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it kind of comes back to that authoritarian upbringing where you say what you have to say to please people because you fear saying what you really think.
Yep.
Yeah. Which comes back to how you're raising Kinsley, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It all connects. Just like these lines. Even though some are bolder than the others, they all connect.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you like best about this piece?
The overlapping. Like Teresa was looking at it earlier and she said the word weaving. And I was like, no, it's not weaving. It's overlapping.
Yeah.
I feel like that's important to me.
Again, you really like collage, you like layers.
That's
So
true.
it would make sense that you like overlapping.
You're a smart lady. I don't feel like I have to have a ruler to do these straight lines either. I can just kind of feel it.
Yeah. Do you have any idea what you might title this piece?
No, not yet. Honestly, I don't even know the orientation of this piece. Like you could view it from all angles.
Yeah. How does it feel best to you?
Well, I like it landscape, for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if that's because the paper is longer than it is taller, or maybe I should just cut this off. Because that's almost a perfect square.
Do you want a perfect square?
No. No. I actually might add some stuff to the outside.
Okay.
Maybe, since this is so, well, I know there's some curved lines in here, but the straight edge is so predominant. So I might add some curvature out here. But I don't know yet.
Do you like it this way or the other way you had it?
I think it just depends on where I go with the rest of the line enhancements.
Okay.
Because right now, like, I was enhancing it this way,
Mm-hmm.
so it looks best this way. But if I started from this way and worked my way up, I think it could work this way too.
Lots of possibilities.
And I like having the options.
Plus, it's very loose. Yeah, it's not a very rigid medium that you've worked with here. I mean, it's very loose in how it's stamped and how you've just kind of carved shapes into the wood. And yeah.
Like, I didn't really have a representation or anything. It's very just nonchalant.
It seems to me as though in your art and in your life and as you're making peace with your parenting style in graduate school that you're sort of stepping out into things that are outside of that rigid upbringing that you had. You're sort of stepping into being outside the lines a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. Am I getting that correct?
I knew you'd connect this. I was looking at this piece like, why am I even doing this? But no, that makes complete sense. I don't want to be that rigid old lady that's like, oh, you've got to do it this way because the Bible tells you.
Okay. Yeah.
That's my grandmother.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how going through the program and you've moved away from home and you don't have your family sort of there influencing you as heavily, right? It's going to be interesting to see how you come into your own voice, your own identity throughout this process.
Yeah.
Are you excited about that?
I'm very excited, but I'm anxious too.
Yeah.
Like,
Of course.
Like, I want to know, but you really won't know until the end of your life.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't want that yet. So
Let's not go too far.
yeah. So it's all about what, we talked about before is the feeling of balance in the uncertainty.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely think that's kind of what you've created here in a different way.
Yeah. I can see that.
So it'd be interesting to see if what you add to this piece. I'd like to see it when you come back again.
Okay.
Okay. I'm curious to see where it goes.
I'm definitely going to work on this
Yeah.
outside of this session because I'm really digging it. Like,
And I know you're making that larger sort of composite piece for your class.
Mhm.
And I wonder if this would play into that at all.
I don't know. That makes me question a lot of things about my piece now.
Or it can be its own piece. It's entirely up to you.
I don't know yet.
Just something to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we are almost out of time.
Okay.
Is there anything that you'd like to bring up? What do you feel like we've talked about today that you'll take away from this?
Just how everything connects, like, with my decision making and, like, feeling judged and decisions that I've made or will make with Kinsley versus decisions with grad school. Like, it's all intermingled.
Yeah.
So, And I mean, I've seen tidbits of that, but like now I can really like, it's all overlapping. Like it's all there.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, just makes me think about a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd be interested to see what conclusions you come to the next time you're here.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.